You're about to listen to the interview I did with my old friend and former bandmate Johnny Marr. We had a chance to talk about the old times as well as his debut solo album, The Messenger. Be sure to listen live to my radio show, Jetlag, every Monday from 2 till 4 Eastern Time on eastvillageradio.com or on the free EVR mobile app for iPhone and Android. So Johnny, earlier we were talking about sitting around playing our guitars and dreaming of becoming musicians.
Then we formed a band, didn't we?
We did, yeah. We were in a lot of bands that could never find a singer. And then through Billy Duffy, actually, from the Cult, you got this message to... I don't think Billy had Morrissey's phone number. He said, oh, here's his address, go and knock on his door.
I met our first manager first, didn't I? Because I had a job in the shop. And
through Joe, yeah.
Yeah, and then the manager of the clothes shop next door, who's my manager to this day, gave me somewhere to live. Then you moved in there at one time, didn't you, in the same house? Yeah. There was myself, and then I had, Joe's, I guess, patronage, if you like, because I wasn't really, there wasn't anything to manage. But what happened was he showed me a documentary on VHS about Lieber and Stoller, and in that documentary, Jerry Lieber, I think, telling the story of how he went and knocked on Mike Stoller's door as a complete stranger and just said to him, let's form a songwriting partnership. And that sparked my imagination, because I'd quite right, as you say, Billy had been in a band with Morrissey from years before, and that stuck in the back of my mind. So I got his address and got on the bus and went over there.
You cold knocked on the door, yeah?
Yeah, amazingly, he let me in, and we started chatting and playing records and everything. And then me and him just started writing those songs then. And
he had like a gazillion lyrics like under his bed.
Yeah, he had some words, yeah. And I just, spoke at 1,000,000 miles an hour about this. I'm going to form a band. I've got some songs, instrumental songs I need some singing on, and all of that. And it was just all because of that Lieber and Stoller documentary, really. So me and him started writing these songs, and there's a whole other chunk of like us working, trying to find the right band members and all of that. And you were working in a yard or something, weren't you?
I was working in a timber yard, yeah. I was lugging timber.
You were only about 17, weren't you?
I was doing it to save up for a bass amp. So as soon as I'd saved up the money, I went to see the boss and told him I was leaving. I was like, ciao. I said, I'll see you on Top of the Pops in 2 months. And the guy was like, Okay, it was 6 months, but...
Had a little bit of destiny going yourself there, yeah? Oh, very good.
Oh.
And then a whole lot of stuff happened then, didn't it? Which is, someone should just buy a few books.
So I suppose we should get back to the present and talk about what you're here to talk about, really, which is your new album. So tell me a little bit about it.
It's a coincidence that the first track off it is the title track. Someone quite rightly thought it'd be the best track to go to radio with or whatever, but as I say, it's just a coincidence that that's what the album's called. The inspiration for the overall album was when I was touring in 2010, I wanted to do something that had a lot of my guitar in it, and most songs start with my guitar and be written mostly around my guitar, but I wanted it to have the sort of overall have the energy of some of the things we've been talking about, funny enough.
Our influences.
Yeah, but that's not to say for it to sound like this band, that band, or the other band, but just my memory of what the vibe around those bands and the way those bands used to operate. So tempos were up, I kind of knew that.
It's a little bit punky, actually.
Yeah.
It's like up-tempo, attitude.
Attitude, yeah. I mean, it's still pop music.
Great production as well.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I didn't want to do take after take after take. I knew I didn't want to have, like, for example, I knew I didn't want to have a lot of loops on it. I didn't want to have a lot of keyboards on it. The backing vocals, such as they are, I wanted to have a little bit of that vibe of City of Fun. Things like that, like the BVs and the energy of the tracks were just a notion that I had about some of the things that we're talking about, like pre-Smith's music that was sort of seeping into what I eventually started to do and what you were doing, So that's what inspired the overall album, and I think it's good when you've got like a concept isn't the right word, but you've got got the big picture.
You can't help it. Like when you grow up and you listen to music, you get this map. You don't have any control over it.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot. The problem is, though, sometimes is that you can go off on too many tangents, and particularly when with technology the way it is in this day and age, and if you've got too many, if you've got too many conflicting ideas, it was just handy for me that when I went into the studio, I had a pretty good idea of what I didn't want it to be and what I did want it to be, and that's essentially why it was a solo record after a couple of weeks, because I didn't really need to be calling in other people for too many ideas. Really, I wasn't always, I want to do a solo record, I really want to do a record with my name on it. It was just after a couple of weeks of writing, everybody around was just sort of going, well, just carry on doing it on your own.
Yeah. Did you do a Blueprint?
I did some of it actually, yeah, which is pretty great studio. Our mates run in Manchester, and I did a lot of it at my place, and I did some of it in Berlin as well, actually.
Yeah, I read that, yeah. Whereabouts in Berlin?
In Kreuzberg, and my mate's got a little place called Ozone.
So, Johnny, are you going to play it live anytime soon?
I'm going to go out on a UK tour in March, and then I'm pretty sure that means right after that I'll be coming over here. That last gig I did was fun, wasn't it? That was a fun night. We had a good time that night.
Yeah.
That was in a weird, old synagogue. That night I played some new songs, and that's kind of a scary prospect, really, because just going out and playing to people who've not heard the songs before. But it worked because it gave me sort of confidence in the ones that did work, and I just dropped a couple, so that was all right.
And you personally, what quality do you feel a good frontman should have?
Having worked with really good frontmen, what they give you. I'm thinking like, say, Matt Johnson, for example. When we used to walk out on stage with her there, you can sort of you can rely on him, and all the people that I've been in bands with. So you have to be to your band what they were to me. Unless you can do that, then you're not delivering, really. So that's the sort of criteria that I put on myself, and also you've got to be able to communicate with the audience and really mean it.
You always look like you're having real good fun up there.
I dig it. Yeah, it's fun for me. It's kind of a little bit. I like that you can, in some ways, you can control the vibe a little better, because you're the guy with the microphone, and if something's not to your liking, you can find out why, and if you can get this sort of good rapport going. That's pretty good, and I like. The important thing is I like the songs I'm singing. That's the thing.
Yeah, I like them too. You should be really proud of them. Anyway, Johnny, it's been great talking with you.
Cheers, man. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for coming in.